and welcome. Tonight, family of late General Sani Abacha rebuffs claims by General Ibrahim Babangida that the late Abacha was responsible for the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara invites the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Zamewele, and other lawmakers to a meeting at the Government House over the implementation of the Supreme Court judgment. Inspector General of Police Kayode Agbetokun orders the posting of 6 newly appointed Deputy Inspectors General of Police to key departments and formations within the Nigeria Police Force. And Syria's leader Ahmed al-Shara calls for peace after days of clashes where Syrian forces allegedly killed hundreds of civilians from the Alawite religious minority. 2 weeks after the launch of the biography titled A Journey in Service by former head of state General Ibrahim Babangida, reactions have continued to trail the contents of that book. The latest to join issues with the retired general is the family of his former chief of army staff, former head of state General Sani Abacha, who has come out now to debunk claims by General Babangida that the late Sani Abacha was responsible for the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. While in a statement signed by the son of the late head of state, Mohammed Abacha, the family dismissed General Babangida's claims, insisting that the late Sani Abacha was neither the head of state nor the commander-in-chief at the time of the annulment. The family, while accusing General Babangida of attempting to distort historical facts and shift blame, has now asked Nigerians to be cautious of what they termed revisionist narratives intended to manipulate public perception for political gain. The statement reads in part, "We regret that the journey in service missed the opportunity and failed to make history as a truthful and objective account of past events." In his recently launched autobiography, General Ibrahim Babangida expressed regret over the annulment, acknowledging that the Social Democratic Party's candidate MKO Abiola won the election. Let's head over to Rivers State now, where after months of political tension, a breakthrough might just be finally coming through. Governor Siminalayi Fubara is now extending an olive branch to the State House of Assembly, setting the state for a responsible reconciliation. In a significant move, the governor has invited Speaker Martin Zamewele and other lawmakers to a crucial meeting at the Government House in Port Harcourt on March the 10th. And this is coming after the Supreme Court validated the status of 27 lawmakers, clearing the way for renewed cooperation. According to that statement by the Secretary to the State Government, Tammy Dangogo, a key issue on the agenda will be securing a permanent assembly venue, addressing outstanding allowances, and laying the groundwork for the state budget. The governor says that this meeting is a step towards fulfilling his promise to implement the court's ruling in full. The invitation marks a potential turning point for Rivers State politics, as optimists will be inclined to hope that both sides look to move past legal battles and work towards stability and the progress of Rivers State. And staying with politics ahead of the 2027 presidential election, members of the Atiku Okowa campaign team from the 19 northern states and the Federal Capital Territory have defected to the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC. Speaking in Abuja while receiving the defectors into the APC, the national chairman of the party, Mr. Abdullahi Ganduje, described the People's Democratic Party as a dying party. The defectors who were received by Mr. Ganduje, the National Working Committee on the party, and the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barrel Jibrin, have been asked to officially register in their various wards for proper integration into the party.
Soon we will have election in Anambra State. Each political party is now planning to get its own candidates for the contest of governorship election. But what I have seen, PDP has extended its period for screening, extended the deadline for screening, because there is nobody who showed up for the contest. And the extension has also expired, and nobody has showed up for the contest. So I don't need to tell you, it is a crumbling party. and it's a party that we, APC, we are the greatest beneficiary of a party when the party is crumbling. So we welcome you honestly. We welcome you to a party with a progressive ideology, to a party that believes in the rule of law, to the party that believes in internal democracy.
The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, says that states are within their rights to close schools for Ramadan, reacting to the closure of schools in some states across northern Nigeria. Dr. Alausa explains that education is on a current list of the 1999 Constitution that gives the state rights to decide on the schedule for education. However, he adds that the federal schools within the state remain open for the period. Our next report looks at the reactions that have trailed this decision by some states to close down schools for the exercise.
Ramadan is one of Islam's 5 pillars. During the month, Muslims dedicate themselves to spiritual exercises, including fasting and praying. To ensure full participation, some state governments closed down schools. They include Kebbi, Kano, Katsina, and Bauchi states. According to a statement from the Katsina State Hisbah Board, the directive is to allow pupils to fully observe the religious exercise. However, that decision has drawn criticism from some clerics.
I see it as political. I'm sorry. If you know the history of fasting in Islam, they might be saying, yes, there is heat, but the heat here cannot be as hot as Saudi Arabia.
So this idea of closing school, to me, I'm not part of it. I actually don't believe in it. It doesn't speak well of Islam.
Look at the gap of the school dropout and the failure of our students, even in some of these particular states, compared to our brethren in the southern part of the country. We are struggling to catch up with them. And now you are saying that we want to keep them at home. Children who are supposed to be working hard to make sure they catch up with the educational curriculum, we want to destroy it.
For those concerned, the academic calendar has already been altered to accommodate the closure.
Going by the academic calendar given to us, the government has carefully taken care of the 2 weeks that have been cut off in the next term, that is in the third term. Instead of we're spending maybe 14 weeks or 13 weeks in the third term, the government has provided 16 weeks.
By next term, the calendar is a little bit altered, so which will have like 16 weeks in third term. So some schools are planning to, conduct the exam and probably the revision in the first 2 weeks.
During the Ramadan, you discover that the teachers, the students are not actually picking up. They don't learn much because since they are fasting, and you find out that some of the teachers will even after suhoor, they will sleep off. Some will come late and things like that.
Kano, Katsina, Bauchi, and Kebbi are among states with the highest numbers of out-of-school children in Nigeria. According to data from the National Mass Education Program Initiative, Kano has 1.89 million, Katsina 1.4 million, Bauchi 1.3 million, and Kebbi 1.06 million children out of school. There are concerns that the decision will further impact on child development in these states.
I know for a fact, that UAE is doing 6 hours a day during the Ramadan fast. They're not shutting down. So why are we shutting down? And if we're not going to make it up, then we're going to be pulling ourselves back a little further than we are right now.
Nevertheless, The federal government maintains that the states are within their rights to close the schools under the provisions of the 1999 Constitution.
You have the other part of our Constitution that puts up this education specifically on concurrent list. That means the states have the right to do what they want to do. If some states decide that this is what they want to do during this month of Ramadan, there's nothing federal government can do to stop them.
Despite the criticisms, the affected states maintained that the schools will remain closed for the spiritual exercise.
From education, we turn our attention to security. Residents of Batsari and Safana, local government areas of Katsina State, have appealed to the state government to sustain the pressure on the activities of bandits, kidnappers, informants, and their collaborators in order to ensure that peace returns to the state. The residents made the call following the gradual return of peace in some of the vulnerable communities affected by banditry. Well, some of these residents are, however, asking the government to concentrate on securing villages and communities that share boundaries with dreaded Rugu Forest, where the bandits take refuge. Batsari and Safana are two of the security frontline local government areas in Katsina State grappling with activities of bandits, kidnappers and cattle rustlers due to their boundary with the dreaded Rugu Forest that links Birinungwari Forest in Kaduna State and Sububu Forest in Zamfara State.
I am proud to report that our efforts are yielding significant results. Within the period under review, a total number of 144 suspects were arrested in connection with 228 reported. In a visit to Wagini and Baonzabo communities in Batsari local government area, commercial activities is on the increase in Wagini and Baonzabo communities in Batsari local government area as residents, who are mainly farmers, cultivating cassava, potato, grains, and other food and cash crops, urge the state government to step up the ongoing fight against banditry. A community leader in Wagini town recalls the magnitude of insecurity in the area as bandits were in control of the area, terrorizing most residents.
I can recall a particular day when bandits, a large number, invaded our town after prayers on Tuesday, shooting sporadically, burning down property.
Another resident says farmers in the Wagini community had recorded a bumper harvest in the 2024 farming season, expressing gratitude to God for the improved security situation in the area.
We pray for the governor to get more courage. We have had a bumper harvest in Wagini.
At Gimi village in Safana local government area, residents engage in selling firewoods instead of animal rearing. This is because their animals have been rustled. Sani Alti, an elderly person, however, commends the efforts of the state government towards tackling insecurity in the area.
We are still calling for more action against bandits.
With the state government's new approach in tackling insecurity, most households here now possess light weapons for self-defense, an effort which many believe had contributed to the reduction of banditry in these communities. In part two, after the break, Governor Hope Uzodimma of Imo State urges the leadership of the Southeast Development Commission to complement efforts of the state government in the development of the region. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Family of the late General Sani Abacha revokes claims by General Ibrahim Babangida that the late Abacha was responsible for the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara invites the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly, Martin Amewele, and other lawmakers to a meeting at the Government House over the implementation of the Supreme Court judgment. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun orders the posting of 6 newly appointed Deputy Inspectors General of Police to key departments and formations within the Nigeria Police Force. And Syria's leader Ahmed al-Shara calls for peace after days of clashes where Syrian forces allegedly killed hundreds of civilians from the Alawite religious minority. Still on security, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered the posting of 6 newly appointed Deputy Inspectors General of Police and 1 Assistant Inspector General of Police to key departments and formations within the Nigeria Police Force. A statement signed by the Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi says the strategic positions are designed to leverage the officer's wealth of experience and expertise to enhance operational efficiency and further strengthen the force's capacity to address evolving security challenges. That statement explains that DIG Sadiq Abubakar has been posted to the Force Criminal Investigation Department, while DIG Benjamin Nebolisa Okolo will now head the Force Intelligence Department. Just as DIG Williams Adebowale assumes responsibility for the Department of Information and Communication Technology, DIG Bzigo Kwazi takes charge of the Department of Operations. DIG Adebola Hamzat has been assigned to the Department of Logistics and Supply, while DIG Idegu Okwoma will lead the Department of Research and Planning. In addition to the newly appointed DIGs, the IGP has also ordered the reassignment of DIG Shabo Abubakar Yahya as a new DIG for the Department of Finance and Administration. What is the state of terrorism across the globe? To answer that question, the 2025 Global Terrorism Report has been released this week. Well, the Global Terrorism Index is a comprehensive study analyzing the impact of terrorism across 99.7% of the world's population. Well, that report is produced by the Institute for Economics and Peace. Given the significant resources committed to counterterrorism by the Nigerian government, it is important to analyze and help inform a positive, practical debate about the future of counterterrorism and, of course, the required public responses. So, Babajide Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is right here with me to share more intelligence about the 2025 Global Terrorism Index. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the news at 10.
Good evening, Anna.
Now, the Global Index scorecard is already out, as we know. What does this report say about progress in Nigeria, or what Nigeria is doing in terms of making progress, and what the global concern is about terrorism, actually?
So in this report, with reference to Nigeria, there's some good news and there's some bad news.
As always.
Now, the bad news is Nigeria still is classified and still ranked among the top 10 most terrorized countries in the world. That's the bad news. However, there's some real good news. And the good news is within this report, they make it clear that in 2015, Nigeria was ranked the 2nd most terrorized country in the world. That was in 2015, just 1 step behind Iraq. Now they say we've significantly improved, especially within the last 1 year. So we've moved from being ranked number 2 in terrorism in the world in 2015 to now number 6. Yes, so if we look at it from our position in 2015, and that is good news. However, if we look at it from the evidence that we are still within that top 10 that we need to get out from, that is the bad news. But one way to summarize this report, Anne, is after studying it, I've put together what I'll classify as the top 10 facts of the latest report from the Global Terrorism Index that was reported this week. And if you take a look at this top 10 facts, it allows us to clearly understand the state of terrorism in Nigeria. And what are these top 10 facts? The number 1 fact is the Islamic State and its affiliates remain the world's deadliest terrorist group in 2024, last year, and they are active in 22 countries. That's fact 1 of the top 10 facts. If we look at fact 2 from the Global Terrorism Index and the Institute of Economics and Peace, they've made it clear that there are more conflicts in the world than at any time since the end of World War II in 1945. Currently, the Global Terrorism Index is saying that there are 69 global conflicts in the world today, and the world has never seen as many conflicts as it is currently seeing since the end of the Second World War. Within this report, it's also clear that the Pakistani Taliban is the fastest growing terrorist organization in the world, and so we have to keep our eyes on exactly what is going on in Pakistan, and potentially will this spread to Africa. Now the challenge is the Sahel region is still the most affected region globally, and this is very important because currently the Sahel region accounts for 51% of all global deaths from terrorism. Let's not forget that in 2007, the Sahel region accounted for only 1%. So the Sahel region in Africa has moved from accounting for 1% of total terrorism deaths in 2007 to now 51%. The GTI also makes it clear that terrorism in the Sahel is influenced by these factors: poor governance, pastoral conflicts, ecological degradation, clearly major economic issues, jihadist, and transnational interests, which will go clearly to look at what are the sentiments about transnational interest later tonight. Another fact from this GTI says that radicalization is more rapid than ever. So they go back to 2002 when it took about 16 months for people to be radicalized. In 2015, it took about 10 months, but today people are getting radicalized in a matter of weeks. So there are clear concerns on the speed of radicalization. Seventh fact out of this top 10, the JNIM, that's the Jamaat Nusrat group, is the dominant terrorism group in the Sahel. However, and the good news is that ISWA is on the decline, but the JNIM is on the rise. Fact 8, 93% of all terrorism deaths in the West are not caused by groups, they are caused by lone actors. So while we see a lot of groups causing terrorism in Africa and the Sahel, most of the deaths that are due to terrorism in the West are usually by lone actors. And lone actors actually are 3 times more likely to be successful than if it were a terrorism organized by a group. And the final is perhaps the most sensitive. That's the point 10. And they take us back within this report to remember that in the 1970s, 49% of conflicts then resulted in a victory for the country. 49% of conflicts resulted in a victory. We're in a situation where now, in the 2010s, only 9% of conflicts are resulting in victories. In simple terms, what this point makes is that it's becoming harder for countries and states to find solutions to conflicts. Looking at what I talked about, Islamic State being the deadliest terrorist group, that's what the chart in front of us speaks to, which what the report is clearly saying is that we see that Islamic State is still the most dominant terrorist group. However, that is on the decline, and we see the fast rise of the JNIM, especially in the Sahel. So yes, as of 2015, there were very little mentions of the JNIM, but based on these trends, in the next 2 years, if these trends continue, what the report is saying is that the name that will be in the media space will more likely be JNIM than ISIS or ISWAP, so that's pretty much the summary of this report, looking at the 10 facts and looking at the major rise of this new terrorist organization that was pretty much small in 2015 but has significantly grown. So
we've talked about the problem. Now let's talk about the solution. We've mentioned the Sahel region, which is ranked the most affected by terrorism. Is there any information about the strategy, how we can turn things around?
So the strategy is for the Sahel region to collaborate better, especially when we talk about the Sahel, we're talking about Burkina Faso, the core Sahel, Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Mauritania, Chad. That's the core Sahel before we talk about the other non-core Sahel of Senegal, parts of northern Nigeria, parts of Sudan, parts of Algeria. So the expectation is for this to really improve. All countries, the core Sahel especially, and the non-core Sahel have to be able to find a way to collaborate together. How will that happen? It's looking more complicated, especially if you take a look at the sentiment. And if you take a look at the sentiment from this core Sahel regions, how do they perceive Russia and the US? Those are the challenges. In Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad, and Niger, based on the report from the Global Terrorism Index, majority of the citizens perceive Russia more as a friend compared to the US. So that is the challenge. How will all these core nations be able to work with non-core nations? And at the end of the day, let's focus on why there's progress and why people are optimism, especially from this report about the state of Nigeria. And within this report, the report says that we should take a look at where we were in 2014 in Nigeria, when terrorist attacks in Nigeria, then as reported by the Global Terrorism Index, 713 attacks. This report now tells us that Nigeria is at its lowest when it comes to terror incidents. In simple terms, this is the best report Nigeria is having in this decade. The report says that terrorist attacks in Nigeria for the year 2024 was down to 99. That's less than 100 compared to what it was in 713 attacks in 2014, a decade earlier. So what we've seen is, looking at the wave and the decline of terrorism attacks, especially since 2020, we see that there's been a significant decline. However, 2024 has been the best year for Nigeria in over this decade. And in the final analysis, let's also end with some of the thoughts on the military leadership on this global terrorism report, because it allows us to clearly now put our thoughts together on, you've seen where we came from 2014, and the report is clearly stating that our progress doesn't mean that we should start celebrating. Yesterday's progress is now history. Our focus is on today. And those are the words of the Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Gwabi Musa, talking about sharing the thoughts of the military leadership on the 2015 Global Terrorism Report. Clearly, there's progress, but he's saying that this isn't the time to celebrate and that the focus is now on today. I think that's the way to go. Now we'll be waiting for what will the next report, the Global Terrorism Report for 2026, give us. And that report of 2026 will be dependent on the performance of 2025.
All right, great. We'll end with those words of determination from the CDS. But thank you very much, Abacha Ogunson, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's Eternal.
The pleasure is always mine.
Exciting analysis always on the news at 10. Thank you. And still to come on the news at 10. Eco Hotels and Suites celebrates the 2025 International Women's Day in style. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, is asking the newly constituted board and management of the Southeast Development Commission to prioritize strategic stakeholder consultation, foster internal harmony, and uphold prudent management practices. The governor gave this advice when he received the newly constituted board and management of the commission at the Government House in Owerri. According to him, these measures are essential for developing a comprehensive work plan and implementing impactful projects that will drive economic growth, infrastructure development, and regional integration across the southeastern zone. Our correspondent in Imo State, Ayitope Kuteyi, reports.
It's a moment of strategic dialogue at the Ndubuse Kanu Executive Chambers at the Government House in Owerri, the Imo State capital, as Governor Hope Uzodinma receives the leadership of the Southeast Development Commission, SADC, for the first time since its inauguration in February 2025.
Your Excellency.
The delegation is led by the board chairman, former Minister of Labour and Productivity, Emeka Wogu. The chairman, in his opening remarks, commends the governor for his achievements in Imo State in the last 5 years and pledges the Commission's commitment to partnering with the state government for the development of the Southeast region.
I will begin by congratulating you on your remarkable achievements since assuming office for a period of about 5 years. Your Excellency may recall, when you were here under 6 months, you took me around your projects both in Owerri and outside Owerri, and you gave me the opportunity to address the world. And I said, this is the re-emergence of modern-day Mbakwe.
On his part, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Southeast Development Commission, Mark Okoye, outlines the Commission's ambitious vision to position the Southeast as a top investment destination by 2030.
Our mission is very clear: to drive sustainable development, economic growth, and unity through strategic interventions and empowerment initiatives. Your Excellency, we recognize the strides Imo State has made in economic development, industrialization, and infrastructural advancement. Like we said, we want to make the Southeast, working closely with you, Your Excellency, and all the other governors, the preferred destination for investment. We want to grow this Southeast economy from a $40 billion economy to a $200 billion economy in 10 years.
Governor Hope Uzodinma, in his response, emphasizes the crucial role of the Commission in addressing the region's historical and economic challenges.
You are there to prove yourself.
It describes the SADC as an interventionist agency that must complement state government's efforts while ensuring prudent and strategic execution of projects.
You are an interventionist agency. Your activities must be complementary with that of state governments. You must be on the same page. Your work should complement the work of that of the subnational governments in the Southeast. We are partners. There is no rivalry.
Speech is done. The governor is decorated with the Commission's brooch. As the Southeast Development Commission takes off in full force, expectations are high for a transformative impact across the region, fostering economic growth, integration, and sustainable development. Ejitokwe Kuteyi, Channels Television News.
Still from the southeastern part of Nigeria, in a move to modernize land administration in Anambra State, the state governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has officially launched the Anambra State Land Geographic Information System. This initiative, unveiled at the State Ministry of Lands in Awka, aims to enhance land management, streamline processes, and improve access to land-related data for both the government and the public.
A significant leap forward for Anambra State as Governor Chukwuma Soludo pushes his technology-driven agenda. Staying true to his mantra of technology everywhere and everything technology, Governor Soludo arrives at the Anambra State Ministry of Land to launch a key initiative, the Anambra State Land Geographic Information System. The new system promises to modernize land administration and management within the state, a major step in the government's efforts to streamline services and enhance transparency.
We pray and we commission this to the glory of God Almighty. Amen.
The Commissioner for Lands, alongside the contractor, walked the governor through the intricate workings of the GIS, explaining how the technology will streamline land registration, improve accuracy, and enhance overall land management within Anambra State.
Everybody, as of today, going forward, will be able to go online and conduct a search on the title, see all the history, the owners, the land, everything. It's already there. It's waiting for the commission. System, I will skip it, data, okay. KPI, I think it's important. We declared 4 KPIs, and you see here, from land-related revenues.
This innovative approach promises to bring greater transparency and efficiency to land management, benefiting both the government and the people of Anambra State.
One of the highlights of your manifesto was to create an effective and efficient land administration system and to restore confidence of the public in the Ministry of Lands. And like we all say, the solution has been made from the Ministry of Lands.
Governor Soludo explains that the initiative is a direct fulfillment of his administration's manifesto promises, bringing efficiency and transparency to land management in Anambra.
Anambra land is platinum gold. Whether you are going to have as an investment, for Anambra to be an investment destination, for us to be able to create wealth, and even to improve on the value of what we have in terms of the assets that people have, landed assets. We needed to have a world-class land administration system.
In a crucial announcement, Governor Soludo urged all land title holders in Anambra State to take immediate action and begin the recertification of their land titles without delay. The deadline for this recertification is April 26th this year.
Echo Hotel and Suites, the premier luxury hospitality service provider right here in Lagos, has celebrated the 2025 International Women's Day with a call on women to shine their light brightly and mentor the next generation positively. The celebration, which held on the rooftop of the hotel, challenged women to break barriers, inspire progress, and drive lasting impact.
It was an informal night of fun, laughter, networking, uplifting conversations and more as a hotel hosted its corporate clients, women from all walks of life, to celebrate the 2025 International Women's Day, which had the theme Accelerating Action. One after the other, guest speakers spoke to the theme, bringing their experiences to bear.
This year's theme, Accelerating Action, reminds us that meaningful change doesn't happen by accident. It happens when we consciously reclaim our energy and direct it with purpose.
Woman, you are light. The first light that shines in the lives of our children. A beautiful bright light, birthed by God and placed on this earth to make a difference.
Men have been standing for themselves by themselves. But we need men to stand up for women too. It starts from our fathers. It starts from our brothers. It starts from our uncles. It starts from our husbands. It starts from our sons.
Sharing their journey and vulnerabilities, they made a case for women to be more and to do more.
I want women to tackle those things that limit them from accelerating. So enough talking, enough learning. It's time to be conscious of what it is that limits women. And it's time to start doing.
Every step of the way, I've taken my passion with me. In everything that I do, I pour my life into it, my work, my family, everything. You have to live for something. Otherwise, you end up living for nothing.
And if you then live a life of kindness, that's how you can give back kindness. And because women are beautifully and wonderfully made, it just but makes sense that we help each other.
Beyond the speeches, the women were entertained, they danced, played games, and won lots of prizes from a hotel and its partners.
Hotel is more than just a hotel, and so we're positioning ourselves to not just talk about fixing the problems that exist on our continent, but actually actioning and accelerating that action in fixing these problems. And so I think that it's important that the right kind of women who have been burnt, who have fallen and risen again, who have struggled, who have maintained the dignity of being a woman, you know, the essence of being a woman, to start coming out and being role models and mentors.
The leadership of the hotel says they will continue to accelerate action for more impactful events of this nature.
A significant boost to infrastructure and community life in Rivers State is in the offing, and that's according to the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC. The commission has officially commissioned a major road project at the Mpolo Rumuibo multi-purpose hall designed to foster community integration in Obiakpo local government area of the state.
Rumuibo community in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State experiences moments of celebration. The atmosphere is electric as chiefs, youths and women line the streets to welcome Tony Okocha, the Rivers State representative on the governing board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, and other NDDC officials, accompanied by representatives from Bayelsa and Ondo states. Mr. Okocha arrives to officially commission the Mpolo Rumuibo Road, the Akbara Link Road, and the Mpolo Rumuibo Multipurpose Hall, marking a historic day for the community.
It gives me joy and happiness to assist my people. And I pray that more opportunities will come, and we shall also continue to touch the lives of others. It gives me joy and happiness to assist my people. But at the end of the day, it is not the billions that you pack in your pocket. It is the impact that you made to your people.
So today we are pleased here to commission this road.
to the glory of God.
Senator Denya Bofa Dimaro, the Bayelsa State representative on the governing board of the NDDC, then takes center stage to perform the official commissioning. The ceremony marks the formal handover of the vital infrastructure projects to the Rumigbo community, signifying a significant step forward in improving connectivity and accessibility in the area. The focus then shifts to the commissioning of the Umpolo Rumigbo Multipurpose Hall, a facility designed to serve as a hub for community gatherings and events.
What we are doing today is to point out to the fact that NDDC has been renewed. NDDC, there's a paradigm shift from the old order. Our projects are physical. They are not on television. They are not based on propaganda. So people can see it, people can feel it, and people can use it. And I want to thank the 7th board of NDDC and management for their cooperation with the people. I also want to thank the people for their cooperation too. To the glory of God and benefit of mankind, I commission this project. Thank you.
Next is the commissioning of the Akbara Link Road, a vital connection that enhances accessibility and economic opportunities for the community. Desmond Akawo, a federal commissioner with the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, delivers the keynote address at the inauguration ceremony.
This is a true confirmation that the DCC that was actually regarded as an organization for contractual purposes only, that today is a transformational organization. There is no other testimony you need except this.
The 3.2-kilometer Umpolo Rumigbo Akbara Link Road, with a 2.4-kilometer drainage, connects several communities in the area and provides easy access to the popular East-West Road.
From there, we turn our attention to the world of sports, where Segun Adekoya has emerged the overall champion of the 14th edition of the Daniel Ogechi Akujobi Memorial Foundation Golf Tournament held at the golf course of the Ikoyi Club 1938. Competing against a field of skilled golfers, Adekoya clinched victory with 67 nets, a gross of 80 and 13 handicap to claim the coveted title.
For the 14th consecutive year, the golf course of the Ikoyi Club 1938 is home to the Daniel Ogechi Akujobi Memorial Foundation Charity Golf Tournament. Every year, hundreds of amateur golfers within and outside the country take time out of their busy schedules, not just to use the sport to keep fit, but also play for charity. The organizers are impressed that over the years, the charity event has not only showcased talent and sportsmanship, but also highlighted the spirit of philanthropy and community support championed by the foundation.
As at today, we have touched over 95,000 lives through all the programs that we carry out. So this golf tournament, charity tournament, is what we use every year to raise funds, in addition to other benefactors who come in to sponsor some of our programs, to ensure that we continue to touch the lives of indigent students, indigent individuals who are also very brilliant, but we don't have anybody to take care of them.
The foundation is primarily focused on the less privileged, so we try to pick them from different areas, especially the impoverished communities. Also, we go to the extent of identifying these impoverished communities and provide healthcare support.
After a busy day at the course, it's time to reward the winners for the 2025 edition.
And the winner is playing 67 net, a gross of 80, a handicap of 13. Make way for the winner, Segun Adekoya.
victory today right in my mind. I'm so happy because it's not easy to win out of 200 players on the golf course. And if you want to believe with me, going golf course is a very tough golf course. That you must make sure that you concentrate, you have your eyes on the ball before you can play this game.
The Duam Foundation assures it will not relent in its mission to provide support in the provision of education and healthcare services to the less privileged across the country through its Gulf initiative.
Chelsea boosted their bid to qualify for the Champions League as Marc Cucurella's Rockets sealed 1-0 win over Leicester earlier today, while Tottenham fought back from 2 goals down to draw 2-2 with Bournemouth. Cucurella struck the second half at Stamford Bridge to lift Chelsea above Manchester City into 4th on the Premier League table. At the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Bournemouth missed a chance to climb into the top 4 race as the hosts saved boss from another embarrassing defeat. Declan Rice's equalizer denied Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim a much-needed win, but Arsenal's flattering Premier League title challenge suffered another damaging blow in a 1-1 draw at Old Trafford. Plateau United edged Abia Warriors 1-0 at the New Jos Stadium to record their 10th win of the season in match day 28 of the Nigeria Premier Football League played earlier this evening. Relegation strugglers Akwa United held the title holders Rangers International to a 1-1 draw at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in Enugu. Well, as Joseph Atule's 29th minute goal handed Enyimba International all 3 points against Alkanemi Warriors, Kwara United beat Kano Pillars 2-0 in Ilori, while Sunshine Stars held host Nasarawa United to a 1-1 draw. Away from sports and outside our shores, hundreds of people have reportedly fled their homes in the coastal provinces of Latakia and Tartus strongholds of Assad support in High Al-Qusor, a predominantly Alawite neighborhood in the coastal city of Abanias. Residents say the streets are filled with scattered bodies piled up and covered in blood. Men of different ages were shot dead there. Reports say hundreds of people have died in recent days due to fighting in areas like this.
Clashes in recent days in Syria has been drawing international attention. There have been reports of clashes between government forces and those still loyal to the ousted Bashar al-Assad regime. The violence has taken the lives of over 1,000 people, with more than 700 civilians from the Alawite minority, including women and children, among the dead. Numbers corroborated by the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. It is unclear which groups are involved in the killing of civilians, with reports of different militias converging in the area. Much remains unknown about what is unfolding in Syria. The violence has been concentrated in the coastal areas of Tartus and Latakia, the home of the Alawite community, a small Islamic sect to which the Assad family belongs. The Syrian presidency, led by Ahmed al-Shara, has announced the creation of a new committee which will investigate and identify the perpetrators behind the attacks on civilians in the past few days. The committee will comprise 7 members and will be independent. Al-Shara has also called for peace, saying, "We must preserve the national unity and civil peace as much as possible." Leaders around the world have begun reacting to the news of the killings. Adding their voices in condemning the violence, UK's Foreign Secretary David Lammy, the European Union released a statement condemning the attacks by what it called pro-Assad elements on interim government forces. France joined in condemning the violence as well and called for an independent investigation into the recent killings. The UN's human rights chief, Volker Turk, urged the country's new leaders to take swift actions to protect civilians. In the meantime, people are growing impatient and have now taken to the streets, taken sides for and against the interim government.
A $5 million reward has been offered by the DRC Congo government to help in arresting 3 leaders of a rebel group which has seized much of the east of the country this year. Colonel Nananga, a former head of DR Congo's Electoral Commission, now leads the Congo River Alliance, which includes the M23 rebel group. He has addressed large rallies in the cities under the group's control. The bounty is also an offer for M23 leaders Sultani Makenga and Bertrand Bisimwa, and the arrest of 2 journalists living in exile. And the main news again. The family of the late General Sani Abacha has rebuffed claims by General Ibrahim Babangida that the late Abacha was responsible for the annulment of the June 12, 1999 presidential election. A statement by Mohamed Abacha says the decision to annul the election was solely that of General Ibrahim Babangida, who was the head of state at the time the election was annulled. We also told you that the River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara invited the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Martin Amawele, and other lawmakers at a meeting at the Government House over the implementation of the recent Supreme Court judgment. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Have a wonderful night rest and a wonderful week ahead. Good night.